A few months ago, it was officially 1 year since I had begun to try to conceive. And as of a few weeks ago, so far I've had one miscarriage at 9 weeks and then two chemical pregnancies. And in my other videos, I explain why that is. Normally it doesn't take normal people this long to conceive. And it's because I have endometriosis, I have two fibroids, and I have one blocked tube. And we're not sure about egg health or anything like that, but I'm going to be having a surgery next month to correct all of that. So all these tips that I have and all of my preconception tips that I had in my other video would pretty much all work for everyone else, as long as you didn't have any gynecological issues. But if you're like me and you do, it's probably going to take a little bit more time and maybe some more things that you can do. So I continued to do a lot of the things in my 50 things to do before you start to conceive. But I also started to avoid dyeing my hair in the luteal phase. I'm about 75% gray, so I have to dye my hair every month because my roots start to come through and it's blinding white. So and here and everywhere. So I need to keep dyeing my hair, and no, I'm not going to let it go natural. So every month I have to dye it. But I won't dye my hair in the luteal phase because that's the phase where if fertilization did happen, that's when the zygote would be looking to implant in my uterus. So I don't really want those harsh chemicals circulating through my bloodstream during that time of possible implantation. So I will only dye my hair in the follicular phase. I'll continue to keep my feet warm, and I occasionally eat pineapple in the luteal phase. I know it's an old wives' tale, but I still do sometimes for the bromelain. And I finally started to do some exercise. So now every 2 days I will walk about 2.5 kilometers around my neighborhood, uphill and downhill. So that's good. That's also going to be helping me prepare for surgery that's coming up next month. And one of the bigger changes that I've made is diet. Over that year of trying to conceive, my diet was okay, like it was fine, but I still ate some things that I shouldn't, the things that make me react negatively. So this diet, I did a lot of research after my second miscarriage. Around Christmas time, I did a lot of research, and I found a blog called To Make a Mommy, and I read everything on that website that she put out. A lot of it is so it gave me so much hope. And so I followed everything that she suggested. So I am drinking fertility tea every day. There's a recipe there on her blog. It's oat straw, nettles, and raspberry tea, or raspberry leaf tea. And I make an infusion, let it sit sometimes overnight, and I'll have 2 cups of that a day. I'm also on a fertility diet, which helps improve hormone cycling and overall mood, and it helps with egg health. That's the big one. So basically at this point I am low carb, high fat, high protein, and it has been working amazingly. So in her blog she did a lot of research, and she found that ideally the macros should be about 25 to 35% protein, less than 40% carbs, and then the rest good fats. And I started this diet basically at the start of 2019. So no caffeine, no dairy, no gluten, no sugar, no high sugar fruits like bananas, and like I said, really low carb. I go even less than 40% carbs. I go sometimes 10 to 20% carbs. I also stopped eating raw vegetables. That's a traditional Chinese medicine thing. She talks about it in her blog again. I also limit red meat, so I eat a lot of chicken, and I'll eat fish too whenever I can. And I limit pork products as well. What I do have is a lot of vegetables. I try to have an avocado every day. I have lots of eggs, almond milk, almonds, other nuts. I am still seed cycling, and it's actually working. I did seed cycling a couple times, but I haven't done it as long as I've done it now. And it's actually worked. My luteal phase is no longer 10 days. My luteal phase is like 12 days, sometimes even 13 days. So seed cycling is amazing. It's balanced my hormones and made my cycles a lot better than what they were. I also eat bone broth or drink bone broth as much as I can because I eat so much chicken now. I'll end up buying a whole chicken, put it in the Instant Pot, and let basically a chicken bone broth brew for 2 days, and then I'll have bone broth to make recipes with, or sometimes I'll just drink 2 cups of it, like with an avocado to eat, and that would be like my morning snack. So the more I researched this fertility diet that she was talking about on her website, the more I realized that it sounded more and more like keto. And so when I'm looking up recipes and other ideas like that, I just Google keto because it's a lot easier. I'm not officially keto, but I am basically low carb, high protein, high fat. And I've lost 12 pounds so far, so it's really working, and I have energy. I have way less bloating. I rarely bloat anymore. My bathroom habits are normal now, and my acne has reduced. I don't really get acne at all anymore. I might have like the start of like a pimple, but then it goes away after like the next day or two. It's amazing. So what really convinced me to start this fertility diet is basically the research that Anna did on her website To Make a Mommy. And in one of those blogs, she said, so there was one study done in Delaware where at this clinic, they were seeing women continuously having failed IVFs due to poor egg quality. And they ended up looking at the diet of these women, and they could see that they were eating mostly carbs. So oatmeal for breakfast, sandwich or pasta for lunch, rice for dinner with some meat and veggies. So basically 60% carb diet and only 10% protein diet. So the doctor had them start a new diet, and he found once they hit the threshold of 30% or more protein, 40% or less carbs, they had 4 times the pregnancy success rates of those who are more high carb and less protein. So that's amazing. All because you reduce your carbs, up your protein and fat, because babies are made from protein and fat. Same with the sperm side. So my fiance is eating a lot better with me as well. He's not as hardcore into it as I am, but he's been eating a lot better too. So that's going to help his side too. Now he does, well, his sperm analysis came back totally fine, even amazing in a lot of respects. So we're having him do this diet too, just to be sure that his sperms stay amazing. I also still don't wear nail polish on my fingers or toes because of the crazy amount of harsh chemicals that are in nail polishes and nail polish remover. And other things I've been doing as of late, I unfollowed a lot of pregnancy podcasts and pregnancy accounts on Instagram, just so I could stop having that come up in my news feeds. I did that for a long time because I needed to, because it was just making me really sad. And I ended up having to unfollow a few people just because they were pregnant, and it was too hard to see. And some were friends, and other people were just people I didn't really know, where I had to unfollow them, or just to hear about other stories of people who were like pregnant with their 7th child, with the 6th man, and oh, they just met this guy a month ago and she's pregnant right away, and she's announcing it on Facebook immediately. Like, okay, cool, whatever. So I'm gonna unfollow you. I can't see that stuff because it was just way too much. I didn't want to see any pregnancy stuff for a while. And I was in that mindset for a long time, like almost a full year. And I would get really, really jealous, and it would hurt sometimes to see pregnancy and to see other people really happy being a mom and all that kind of stuff. For some people, like when I would see some people like that. But it's crazy how it works. Like with other people, like with some of my, actually pretty much all my family members, when I seen them being a mom to their kids, like I felt no jealousy at all. I just felt love for them because they're my family, I guess. And it was so cool to see. And I love seeing, a lot of my family members, or all of my family members who are parents, I love seeing them with their children and seeing them be parents. It's really cool. That doesn't make me jealous. It's strangers, I guess, and people I don't really know that well that make me jealous and make me not want to really see that side. But like I said, I've been changing my mindset over the past even just month. I've really just started doing it with the help of podcasts, of course. And so now I'm not as jealous anymore. I don't feel as much sadness when I see some pregnancy stuff, because now I'm thinking, well, I don't know how long they were trying. Maybe they were trying for a really long time. Maybe they just had a surgery too a few months ago, and maybe they thought that they could never have kids, and then look, they have a kid now. Like, so now I'm changing my mindset to see pregnancy as something that is, well, it's freaking crazy how it can happen. There's so many things that need to line up in order for it to happen. For some people, it takes a million things to come into place to make it happen. And other people, it only takes like 5 things to fall into place to make it happen. But either way, it's really cool that people can still make babies. So I see it as, so I'm not as jealous anymore, and it doesn't hurt as much anymore. I also did an exercise where I wrote down everything that I was afraid of and all the negative things that had been in my head, like all my negative, intrusive thoughts and all the things that make me feel panicked or scared about pregnancy or about motherhood. And it's crazy because in the first year of trying to conceive, there was no way in hell I was going to ever do that. I did not want to put negative energy and negative thoughts out into the universe, because that was scary to me. I don't want any negative anything to come into this whole journey, because I was afraid that would cause bad things to happen. But a friend of mine said that, well, either you put them on paper or you say them out loud, or they're in your head. Either way, they still exist. So at least saying them or putting them out on paper is getting them out of you, and you feel better when you do that. And I knew that, but it's crazy, like, you know these things logically, but you forget to apply them in your life sometimes, or you forget to apply them to certain situations. So that's what was happening. And for me is, okay, yeah, you're right. So I did. I wrote everything out and all the negative thoughts that I had and fears, and I felt better after I got it all out. It took a few days, but I did feel better. And after I wrote down all the negative things, the next page, I countered everything. So for instance, on my fears page, I wrote down that I was afraid that I would be too overwhelmed after I have a baby. I'd be so overwhelmed that I would just go crazy. And that was a big fear I had. So then on the next page, I wrote down that I might feel overwhelmed. Of course I'm going to feel overwhelmed, but it's going to be okay because it's going to be manageable because I will have such a strong support system. And then I wrote down all the people who would be there to help me, you know, in the beginning stages and later too. So I wrote down all those people, how they would help me, and they would do things for me when I needed it. And my fiance is going to be amazing at that too. So I had to write all that down and remind myself that, okay, yes, I'll be overwhelmed, but it will be okay. And I'm not going to go crazy because I have resources that will help me. And I have ways to identify when my mental health isn't as good as it could be. And my fiance is good at that too, to be able to detect that. So I went like that through my list of all the negatives, and I would just counter them and explain logically how it wasn't true or how it wasn't as crazy insane as I thought it was. So I talked myself down, and it made me feel a lot better. And I talked to my mom about some stuff too, and just saying things out loud, even though it was scary to say it out loud, and it made me feel like I was being negative. Just saying it out loud and having someone listen helped a lot, because I felt like the scary negative thoughts weren't stuck in me anymore. They were out in the open, and it felt a lot lighter, because that's what happens. And I talked about that in previous videos. It's crazy how you don't listen to your own advice sometimes in certain situations, but it worked this time. And days after, I felt even better, and now I feel a lot better with a lot of things too. But it's one of those things that you have to keep doing in order to build new thought patterns. You need to keep doing it over and over so that it becomes automatic, because we don't just start thinking negative or start having scary thoughts like just instantly out of nowhere. They build over time, and through repetition and through doing, well, repetition, they get more and more intense and more stronger, and then they just become automatic thoughts. So that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to change the way I think and have new automatic thoughts, so that when I see a pregnancy announcement, my first reaction isn't like a heavy, sad, longing feeling. I want to see a pregnancy announcement and feel so happy for them, and have hope that it's going to be me soon, and feel real positivity. And again, it's crazy, because if it's close friends of mine or family members, and if they have a pregnancy announcement, I am legitimately really happy, and I don't feel that sadness and that longing. So I know it's in me. I know it's possible for me to feel like that with every pregnancy announcements I see, and seeing pregnant celebrities on TV and stuff. And it's crazy, because so many friggin' people are pregnant right now, and like with celebrities, and it's. Anyway, you can't think that way, because if my first pregnancy didn't end in miscarriage, I would be giving birth next month. But instead I'm having a surgery to remove some fibroids to ensure that I can get pregnant again. So, but you can't think that way. It's hard not to sometimes, though, just to think, well, if it hadn't have done this, then it would have had this. You can't, because you can't go back. You just can only look forward, and that's what I'm doing. I feel a lot more optimistic, and I'm just going forward, and I feel good about the future, and I feel good about the surgery, even though it's scary. So that's it. That's what I've been doing so far, and what I've been continuing to do. And I'm sure I'll be adding more things onto it. And after my surgery, when I'm recovering from that, I'm gonna have to go like slack on a lot of things, because I hear the recovery isn't that great, or isn't that easy. So I'll be doing a lot of sitting and laying down, and I'll have to stop my exercise regime for a while until I get back in the swing of things. But that's okay, because it's a necessary pause in order for my dreams to come true a few months from now. So that's it. Thanks for watching. And if you're going through this journey too, I wish you luck, and don't be so hard on yourself, and just keep doing the best that you can, because that is all you can do. And I'll see you in my next video.